Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and tomorrow Esther, my ST170 powered Mark 1 Escort, is going on the dyno, which means it's quite an exciting but also anxious time for me at the moment. Esther has actually been ready for the rolling road for ages, but over the last week or so she's been causing me some grief. I'm going to be going round to her garage a bit later on, so I'll fill you in on all the details. I've also been spending a little bit of time on Maud, my Mordor Mark 2 Escort, since I got her back from Clump Fab, and I'll bring you up to speed with her in just a moment. But first, I've had yet more packages through the post from some of you guys, so I want to show you what I've got. First of all, we've got another update on the model car cabinet, and I've been sent this Corgi Mark 1 Escort model. Now this was sent to me by a guy called Kevin Cheetle, so massive thanks to you. And he actually said that this has been sitting in a drawer in his home for the last 20 years, so yeah, it's quite battered up, but most of the stickers are still intact, which I think is really cool. Now, when I posted this on my social media a couple of weeks ago, a lot of you suggested that I should restore it and paint it Olympic blue to match my Mark 1, but I think, because it's a gift, I want to keep it in the condition that I received it in. Yeah, it's a proper cool model, proper old school Corgi. And now, it will live a life of luxury in my cabinet. The other care package that I received was for my dad's trusty Mark 1 Focus estate. Now, as you can see, my dad's Focus boot now opens with a key. A guy called Empson506 on Instagram sent me some parts because he's actually got a Mark 1 Focus banger racing car. So he sent me the boot latch thing here with the cable that runs to the lock, and he sent me a lock as well. Just had to remove this plastic trim to fit the new lock, and he obviously sent me a key to match the lock that he sent me. Now I'm not sure which part it was that actually failed, but my dad's original key is very worn. Just thought I'd change the whole thing, and now it works. So yeah, huge thanks to Empson506 for sending me the parts. I really appreciate it. Right, on to Maud, my Mordor Mark 2 Escort. I've got one of the wings fitted at the moment, but I've actually got the passenger one still off, so I can show you what I've been up to since I got Maud back from Clump Fab. I haven't actually driven her on the road since then yet. But yeah, as you can see, all the areas where Chris has done welding, I basically gave it another coat of seam sealer around the edges and all over the welds, and then I gave it a coat of satin black spray cans, and then lacquer out of a spray can, and then I hit it with this underseal stuff which should hold the rust back for many years to come. Done the same sort of process on the back of this front panel here. I've also tidied up the indicator wiring, so I've put one of these connectors on each side, so it's just literally a case of plugging it into the wiring loom. And coming around the front, I've given the whole front a coat of satin black, although for some reason this satin black looks a bit matte, but it's only a temporary job just to hold the rust back until I paint the car whatever colour I decide to do. And inside here I've done satin black and lacquer just to give it an extra layer of protection from rust in the future. But yeah, all looking good in there. I still need to attach the horn to here. Now I haven't got round yet to grinding down the welds on these RS top plates or digging out the sealer here and redoing it. I'm basically going to treat the engine bay as one project and do that another day, although when I do that I am going to need to remove the wings because there's a bit of rust. It's only surface rust, but behind here you can just see a bit of it there. So yeah, I'll do that when I do the engine bay as well. You know, when I was round here over the last week or so, I wanted to draw the line somewhere just so I can actually start getting paint on where Chris has done the welding. So yeah, the rest of it can wait. And I might actually give the whole engine bay another coat of paint when I change the engine next, but we'll see. But yeah, at a minimum, you know, all this is going to need to be painted, and you know, all there and same along there. Now I was actually planning to put the other wing on Maud and take her for her first drive today since I got her back from Clump Fab, but I think I'm actually going to leave her in the garage because tomorrow when we take Esther on the dyno, I can nick some parts off of Maud and take them with me. You know, things like the HT leads and the coil pack. So yeah, if any of them parts fail when I'm on the dyno with Esther, I'll have some spares. Yeah, another thing I've done is, similar to the rear bumper, I've actually removed these side brackets either side, because what I found when I had a bit of a drift accident on the rear bumper, you know, the impact was one side, but then it ended up damaging the other side as well, because, you know, the bumper is literally bolted to the rear quarters in that case, or to the front wings in this case. So yeah, they're only held on by the bumper irons there that mount to the chassis. Now as you can see, I've got one headlight and one headlight bowl fitted, and a lot of you were commenting on my Araldite bodges on the headlight bowls, and a lot of you actually suggested I should use a riv nut rather than gluing the nut on the back, and that's exactly what I've done. And what this means is that when it's mounted to the front panel, this bit will sit nice and flush against it because there's no nut on the back. So yeah, as always, massive thanks to everyone who's constantly giving me advice. I really appreciate it. That's where I'm at with Maud at the moment. I'm going to be going around the garage where Esther is on my break, but before I go to work, I need to stop at Euros. A few hours later, and I'm on my break from work, around the garage with Esther, my ST170 powered Mark 1 Escort. Now the first thing I wanted to do was to make sure that the brake shoes and wheel cylinders that I bought from Euros earlier are actually going to fit this car, and they certainly look the same to me. Now I'm not going to fit those now. I might fit them after work this evening, or if not, I'll do it in the day tomorrow because I've actually got the whole day off work and Esther's not due on the dyno until 5 PM. Now before I go into detail about the grief that I've been having with Esther's engine over the last week, I've got something else to show you for Maud. I have finally received a new rear-wheel drive Z-Tech sump for Maud's new ST170 engine, which has been sitting on the stand for ages now. Now this sump actually came from a company called POSTAGE engines, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video. Now those of you who've been watching my videos will know that I was waiting for a sump from another company called G19 Engineering, but they turned out to be an absolute waste of time, kept ignoring my messages. So yeah, I contacted POSTAGE engines and they were able to sort it out within a month. And when I contacted them the first time, they were actually still in lockdown. Now I'm not gonna lie, I was actually disappointed when I first opened this box because it's not an original Ford alloy sump that's been modified like on the POSTAGE Engines website, but apparently this is their new design. And one thing I have noticed is this material for this flange is a lot thicker than the very low quality sump that I've got fitted to Maud's current engine, so hopefully this won't distort like that one did. And this part here has actually got a groove for the gasket, which is really cool, so that should definitely help to stop leaks. And this sump actually uses the genuine Ford gasket. Now I am going to take some measurements off of this sump and compare it to the sump that's fitted to Maud's current engine, just to make sure that this one's going to give me a bit more clearance on the steering rack and the cross member and stuff before I actually fit it, because you know this sump was expensive, but one thing I've learned when you're messing around with cars, you do get what you pay for. After I have taken the measurements, if I'm not sure, I am just going to send it back because yeah, this was really expensive. So yeah, obviously I'll let you know how I get on with that new sump when I actually have time to start putting Maud's new ST170 engine together. But yeah, massive thanks to POSTAGE engines for sorting it out so quickly. I really appreciate it. Right, so back to Esther, and she has pretty much been ready for mapping for ages. You know, I just wanted to have a look over the car, do another nut and bolt check, you know, bleed the brakes, just make sure there's no air in the system. And yeah, everything was sweet. But I did notice that the front crank seal was slightly leaking. Now I remember when I fitted that crank seal a couple of years ago now, it did seem a bit loose when I was pressing it in, but at the time I decided to just go with it, and you know, changing the crank seal isn't difficult anyway, so I thought. So once I obviously locked the engine in time and took all the cam belt off and all that, got the pulley off here, and then behind the cover in there is a gear that the actual cam belt locks onto, one of these. Now this was an absolute nightmare to get off the crankshaft. Now these are actually supposed to just slide on and off, and they're not pressed on. I ended up having to use like a hammer and chisel to actually get this off, and as you can see, it's pretty damaged. But I did get it off eventually. Admittedly, I did touch the crank a little bit with the chisel, and I've just sanded down the crankshaft a little bit where the knocks were, and hopefully it's going to mean that it won't leak, but we'll just have to see. Now luckily, Tony Hopcroft gave me a spare engine about a year ago, and I was able to nick the gear off of that engine because yeah, I really didn't like the look of this one. And here is the engine that Tony sorted me out. Now what I realised when I removed this gear from this engine is that this washer is supposed to be behind this gear, which would then obviously stop it going on too far and then stop it being so difficult to remove. The way I had it was with this washer in front of it. Now, I don't know if maybe when I took apart this engine that's in Esther, it was the wrong way round and then I put it back the way it was, or whether I just made the mistake. But yeah, now it's all together. Obviously the washer is behind the gear as it should be. And yeah, we'll just have to see if that crank seal leaks. Now there is something to do with Esther that loads of you guys actually corrected me on, to do with this fuel breather thingy. Now I thought that this was supposed to go in that hole there, obviously poking out behind your bumper. But loads of you guys actually told me that it's supposed to go somewhere under the middle here. Now when I look on my car, I don't have a hole there, so unless I'm misunderstanding you, I'm not really sure where it's supposed to be. Now to be honest, the way this tank's laid out, I think it's actually going to be neater for me to just use that hole anyway. Obviously I want to do it so that this is nice and neat along here. It's just hanging there at the moment. But yeah, I'm guessing where you guys were saying was somewhere around here, but I don't have a hole here. Now obviously it's possible that we could have welded up that hole when we built this car by mistake. Yeah, so as I say, I've got a whole day off work tomorrow to sort out the brakes and give the engine another compression test and make sure that the ME221 is communicating with my new laptop that I bought just for tuning. But yeah, she should be good to go on the dyno. I'm hoping that we don't get there and find any problems and then I have to bring the car back and rebook. The guy who's tuning this car is actually Chris Todd, who owns a rear-wheel drive Subaru Impreza powered Mark 1 Fiesta that does the quarter mile in 8.9 seconds now. And yeah, there's a long waiting list to book tuning sessions with him. Now I know this video has been all over the place. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed with what's been going on with both of the cars. And then the next video will be tomorrow's dyno day. So for now, I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe if you're new and you want to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my email address. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.